This car has the steel wheels because it's 2006. That's when they did the last upgrades to the car. It has the push bar still, which is pretty solid. This thing is pretty thick. Um, Never seen any kind of horns like that, but you can see them from the driver's seat. And it gives you an element of cop car ism. I don't know what you'd rather call it. Anywho, so being a body on frame platform, this car is awesome because it has rear wheel drive, and body on frame means that I can drive this car off road fairly quickly, and there will be no damage. It's pretty stiff in the back. It rides like a truck in the back. In the front, you could tell there's some bit more suspension play. That's due to, giving it that really nice handling. This vehicle has incredible handling, and its hydraulic power steering really lets you feel the road. Every time I get into this vehicle versus my 2020 BMW 330, I could really feel the road. When the road falters, it falters. You can feel the weight. The brakes are heavy-duty brakes from an F-250 truck, and it has heavy-duty transmission as well. Extra cooling for the engine. But these things are fun just because it's a cop car as well. I see it as a car first. I like cars, and I see this just as another car. But then when you find out really what the elements are that hold this car amongst the others, you find out that this car is a supercar. When you think supercars and you think, yeah, car that does 200 miles an hour. No, this car is like Wolverine. It just heals itself, and it continues on protecting. Doesn't matter what it is. Bullets. The front doors are Kevlar, not the rear doors. This vehicle, I'm not sure if it was possibly it was to transport bad people to the jail when you're pulled over. It wasn't a pursuit vehicle or a car that was driven hard. That's just based on how well it's been this last 8 years that I've had it. Only thing I've done to this vehicle is change the oil, and of course change the the rusted hood here. I changed that to plasti dip, including the roof. But that's about it. I haven't done anything else. It still has the blue color, Nevada Higher Patrol, which I love. When I had this vehicle on Goodyear Eagle Ultra Grip tires, it was a different vehicle, and I had to notice why the police officers were using Goodyear Eagle Ultra Grips, and I put a set on, and it changed a lot of things. It changed a lot of things, such as the grip in the dry, and the grip especially in the snow. I don't know if you have ever driven a Crown Vic before, and especially a P71, which handles completely different than a regular Crown Vic. It's much stiffer, much more focused. They drive pretty well in the snow. As long as your right foot knows what it's doing, this car will manage itself through the snow. You have to learn in dire needs how to put it in second gear to get the weight moving. But once the weight and the momentum's flowing, that's all you need. And that's what makes this car great. That's what I think a lot of people that see this car and see it as a grandma's car, they don't see the potential that's in it. And I've done a $140 in this car, by the way. When I first got it, I did a $140 in it, and when you drive something like this, you can feel the speed building. You can feel the air, the road, everything. The car feels like it's a bit lighter, and it's screaming its lungs out because it's also a marathon runner. This car is not a supercar in a way that a supercar is an explosive sprinter. This is a car that is a supercar in a way that it's Wolverine. and it feels, it's almost like its lungs never give up, and that makes it so special. And when you throw it around in the snow, you don't get the anxiety of throwing around something that's expensive that could hit the curb and possibly bend a wheel over itself. This vehicle will, it'll climb that curb. It'll do donuts. It'll do so many things. It'll drive in the snow. I've seen some of these lifted, and they look pretty interesting lifted, but they're able to get to where Jeeps can get to, based on them being body on frame. Another thing I want to talk about is how I think this car looks amazing. I think when you picture a car, it should look like this. It should look semi-square when you draw it on a piece of paper. If you're not an experienced drawer, it should be semi-square, just like this vehicle, with 4 doors and large. Before the SUV market came in and took over, cars were this large, and the wheelbase on this vehicle just gives it so much more advantage, especially when you want to throw the weight around at imposters, people running away. People could be in trucks, and you can pit maneuvering them in this vehicle, even if they're in half-ton or full-ton trucks. This vehicle can also tow pretty well. It's of course not set up to tow. There we have trucks for that, but it can tow pretty well. And the new Explorer has a hard job replacing the Ford Crown Victoria. I do have to admit, the Challenger was nowhere close to what the pedigree of durability that this vehicle was. This vehicle was basically a Mustang that was made limitless. It's a limitless Mustang, and you can find parts for it everywhere. You could put new Mustang parts underneath it and totally make it a complete animal, which I want to do with this vehicle's life. I'm first waiting until the first phase of its life is over, when the engine finally dies and it coughs up and it says I'm done. Then we'll do a heart transplant. We'll put a twin turbo Coyote motor in it possibly, and new Mustang internals. Do some, I don't know. I'm getting too excited here, but in standard form, I love it. I love it. I love driving this car as much as I love driving my 330. And my 330 is a 2020 model. It's a sports car, and I love that car as well. This vehicle, though, is how people look at it. It's how people respect it. It's the feeling of when you see it. This car has lived. It's a legend. It's a living legend, and it still runs. Amongst all the hybrids next to it, looking at it, my particular one makes a lot of noise because I took the front resonators off, and it sounds like it has a true dual MagnaFlow exhaust. I won't lie, and it backfires as well. It backfires everywhere your foot is at, wherever your foot is at. There's a different tone to the engine to the back. That length of pipe from the engine to the back gives it so much personality by the time it comes out the back. It's incredible. But anyways, guys, what do you guys think about the Ford Crown Victoria? I'd like for you guys to give me a shout out, put a like in there if you can, subscribe. I love cars, so I'm gonna keep doing this until I can't do it no more. You know what I mean? All right, thank you.